Norwegian is a low-cost carrier, flying within Scandinavia and to the rest of Europe. They are an ultra-low-cost carrier, in the same vein as Wizz and Ryanair. To Europeans, they are an affordable, frequently available flight option. In this review, I'll be flying them from Bergen to Oslo to Tallinn. But Norwegian was once so much more. They flew transatlantic, between New York and the Caribbean, to Asia, hell, even domestically within Argentina. And all of that crashed and burned during the pandemic, the carcass of which is still on display 4 years later. Mention Norwegian to travelers outside of Norway or Europe, and chances are you'll see rage flare in their eyes. Tens of thousands of people are out thousands of dollars each with no refunds, while Norwegian seemingly continues to fly on and is now quite profitable. Why you weren't able to get a refund is quite a complicated story. So join me in this flight review of Norwegian within Europe, but I'd be remiss not to also discuss why I think you weren't able to get a refund, and you can decide if you want to patronize Norwegian with your money moving forward. Good morning from Bergen. I'm here at the UNESCO famous Bergen, a set of merchant houses from the Hanseatic League. Today I'm flying from one side of the Hansa to the other, to the medieval town of Revel, which you may know by its modern name of Tallinn. I made my way to the Bergen airport on the convenient light rail. Norwegian is your typical ultra low-cost carrier, which includes nothing in the base fare and tons of extra fees. I went with LowFare Plus, which includes seat selection, a carry-on bag, and a check bag. And like the rest of the Scandinavian airlines, there's the infuriating 8-kilogram weight limit for all cabin baggage, so you will be checking a bag. The Bergen airport is small and wasn't crowded at this hour, and I made my way to the gate. Norwegian has famous Scandinavian historical figures painted on their tails, which is a really cool way of celebrating their history. My plane, however, had a blank tail. Perhaps the Scandinavian countries really have nothing of value worth celebrating, and SAS was right.
What is truly Scandinavian? Absolutely nothing.
Oh, you thought I forgot about that SAS? Never. Boarding was done by group, and priority boarding was called first. As this is a paid add-on, there weren't many takers. The interior was rather drab, with no branding, no amenities, and no decorations. That all costs money, after all. There is a seat back pouch, which is rare on low-cost carriers. Legroom with the slimline seats was fine. We pushed back 3 minutes early. The safety demonstration was exclusively done in English, differently than SAS and Widerøe. Flying time to Oslo was 40 minutes at 29,000 feet. While Norwegian does have buy on board, they don't offer it on flights under 1 hour. Norwegian even has Wi-Fi on their planes, including a free option. Sure, it's very slow, but should be enough to fire off a text message to someone. The fact that Norwegian can have free messaging, even for 15 minutes, while American Airlines can't, is just plain embarrassing at this point. The flight went by very quickly, and I touched down for my third layover in Oslo on this trip. As we slowed, we went right by the husk of a Norwegian 787 with the engine stripped, so I think it's time to talk about what went down there. And in order to do so, we need to understand a bit about international corporate structures. Your favorite multinational company isn't just one company. Rather, it is a structure of dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of related entities around the globe. What company owns what other company is usually highly confidential corporate information, so I'm just going off what is publicly available here. It's an educated guess based on my professional experience working in international tax for several years. Norwegian Air Shuttle ASA is the parent company. It currently owns subsidiaries in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Ireland, Spain, Latvia, and the UK. When they operated flights to the Americas, it was through Irish and UK subsidiaries, not the Norwegian subsidiary or the parent company. For example, if you bought a flight from New York to London on Norwegian, you were actually buying the ticket from Norwegian Air UK Limited. The other subsidiaries or even the parent company had nothing to do with the ticket. There's many reasons why companies do this. Sometimes it's to comply with local tax or employment laws. There's also often some tax planning opportunities.
Hello, I like money.
But it's also a means of compartmentalizing risk. While some debts may be guaranteed by the parent company, if a local subsidiary collapses, it can simply be discarded like a tree shedding its leaves. That's exactly what happened. Norwegian Air Shuttle ASA, the parent company, declared bankruptcy, restructured, and emerged. Norwegian Air UK Limited and multiple Irish entities, most notably Norwegian Air International Limited, were all liquidated. You didn't get a refund because the Norwegian you bought the ticket from no longer exists. Why didn't the parent company cover the debts? Well, it's complicated. Some debts they likely did and others they didn't. The bankruptcy and liquidations went through the Irish and UK courts, and passengers were simply considered to be like any other debtors. Some people got 5% of their money back, others got nothing at all. In total, at least 34,000 people got completely screwed. Norwegian claimed that 98% of all passengers got a refund. I seriously doubt that. They also claimed that 99.8% of Norwegian citizens got a refund. That likely has to do both with corporate structure, but also playing favorites for political purposes. Norwegian offered airline miles or flight credits to some passengers, but given that Norwegian no longer even flew to their countries and the credits expired, they were of limited use. Believe it or not, rather than just being an insult, this was actually a gesture of goodwill, as it was issued by a different Norwegian legal entity that owed you absolutely nothing. I'm not trying to excuse Norwegian's behavior here, it was awful. I personally know people who are out thousands of dollars. It's a terrible look that they are profitable now, and they are able to buy Widerøe for $106 million. That could have gone a long way towards making things right. But why does Norwegian care about customer goodwill for passengers on a continent they no longer even fly to? Their 2022 mission be damned. Anyway, back to my 3-hour layover. I made my way to the international yet Schengen side of the terminal and found some interesting aircraft, including this Norwegian aircraft illustrating everything you can do with Wi-Fi and this Atlantic Airways plane. Like always, the Europeans have a thing about not posting the gate, and it was posted in the app before the monitors. Our plane with Alexis Kivi, a Finnish writer, on the tail was towed to the gate. I should note that there were no bag sizers or anyone checking your carry-on weight. It was all, frankly, rather civilized.
To Tallinn will shortly be ready for boarding at gate D2.
This plane's interior at least had a splash of color and branding on the headsets. Norwegian 737s have an odd lack of a window on the left side. I checked on Seat Guru and thought row 12 was okay, but I still lacked a window. I swear I checked.
How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
Still, I got just enough of a window, I guess. Flying time to Tallinn was 1 hour 10 at 37,000 feet. On this flight, there was a full-service offering, and the menu was quite extensive. There was also duty-free, but rather than hawking it like on Ryanair, you could opt into shopping by pressing your call button. I like that much better. It was cloudy over Sweden, but the sun broke through over the Gulf of Finland. We could see Hanko and the Finnish coast as we lined up to land in Tallinn. Sitting on the left side, I got a fantastic view of the walled medieval city and the famous sights as we came into land. So Norwegian. It was inexpensive, the cruise pleasant, the seat and amenities more than acceptable, and I had 2 great flights. I enjoyed the trip. But it really bothers me that I did. Sure, the company has emerged leaner and meaner, and perhaps you won't get burned again. But initially, I was going to fly on Fleer for this trip, and they went under too. Fortunately, I hadn't given them my money yet, but I nearly did. I'm not booking Norse Atlantic Airways anytime soon. The best course of action in such a situation is to demand cash refunds and accept nothing less, or failing that, issue a chargeback with a credit card. However, given the circumstances of the situation, even that wasn't enough for many people. I feel truly sorry for the people who lost money with Norwegian, and what they did was immoral. But airlines and companies more broadly are not your friend, and perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all to take away. I've got a day and a half here in the wonderful city of Tallinn, but there's one more major Nordic airline I've yet to cover on this trip, and that's just a small body of water away. So join me next time for an obscenely over-the-top ferry ride to Helsinki.